Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. I am tag teaming with my sister Dina today. She's a very close friend of mine. So I will introduce myself, and then I will allow her to introduce herself, and then we can kind of tag team. Usually we tag team on topics of hijab and also women in Islam. It's one of our favorite topics to tag team on. Usually we're together and we interject, so this is kind of different for us. So please bear with us as we figure this out. But to introduce myself, my name is Marwa El-Kilani. I am a PhD candidate in education at the University of Maine. I'm an adjunct faculty member at Eastern Maine Community College. I'm also a newly elected Bangor School Board member, and I'm also on the board of the Islamic Center of Maine here in Orono. I want to thank Brother Hamza for inviting us, and I want to thank everybody who is in attendance today for your time and attention. Thank you all so much. And I will pass it on to Dina to introduce herself before we get started.
Okay, thank you, Marwa. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you, Brother Hamza, for giving us this chance to talk. And I know it's a very important topic, and many people have questions about it. So I'm glad to be sharing with Marwa today's presentation. So I live in Bangor, and I earned my master's in social work about a couple years ago from University of Maine in Orono. I have been volunteering in many capacities around town in many non-profit organizations that call for social and economic justice. That's my passion. And I sit on many boards around town at the Wilson Center in Orono. I co-chair the Faith Lincoln in Action Board of Directors at Faith Lincoln in Action in Brewer. And I sit on the Maine Immigration Rights Coalition. I just lately joined that one. So it has been interesting experience for me because I have always been working with my fellow Americans, like white Americans who are not immigrants. So it was interesting for me to be working with immigrants for the first time. So it has been really quite nice experience. I'm gonna leave it to Marwa now to start talking about hijab. I will interject whenever it's needed. I know she does amazing job. I don't know what I'm doing here, but anyway.
Well, we do it well together. So to start off with hijab, I know it's a it's a highly sought after topic. A lot of people ask us questions around Bangor, the Bangor area. So hijab is not a concept actually that is unique to Islam, but also embraced by other religions, Judaism and Christianity to be specific. Hijab is prescribed for all Muslim women who have hit the age of puberty. It's also, Islam strongly emphasizes the concept of decency and modesty for both genders and not just women. In chapter 24, verse 30, Allah starts off by addressing Muslim men first. The verse states, "Say to the believing men that they should cast down their glances and guard their private parts. This is better for them." So here, God actually commands men to not look lustfully at women and to be modest. So this is also referred to as hijab of eyes. So hijab is in Arabic, it's translated as a barrier. So men should also have hijab of eyes and be respectful of women. And that's something that's always asked of us, is why is it only just women, but it's also men as well that Allah addresses in the Holy Quran, in our holy book. In the next verse, Allah commands the Prophet to address women. "Say to the believing women that they should cast down their glances and guard their private parts, and not display their beauty except what is apparent, and they should place their khimar over their bosoms." So khimar in Arabic is translated as a garment that actually covers from head down and covers their chest. Because this is often, a point of, not a point of contention, but sometimes controversial, because what is khimar? But it is in Arabic a garment that covers the head, but not just the head, but also covers, that drapes down as well. And in the second verse in the Quran, O Prophet, say to your wives, your daughters, and the women of the believers that they should cover themselves with their jalabib. So jalabib is a loose garment. So hijab is not just the covering of the head, but also the way a woman dresses and acts is also important. There should be, again, decency and modesty and loose fitting clothes. So people ask, so all kinds of interesting questions, and like, do you have to wear hijab in front of your husband or your, people obviously don't know, and there are so many misconceptions that we can address later. But hijab, it should be for a young woman who comes to the puberty age to cover herself, and the only thing showing is the face and the hands from anyone she can marry. So basically, she can uncover, or she does not have to be in hijab in front of her father, her brother, and if she is married, her father-in-law, her uncles, for example, people that she cannot marry, she does not have to be covered in front of. If I'm in a room with only females, then I can be uncovered in front of them. So males, again, males who are not related to me, and I cannot marry. So, and I hear a lot of times, we hear things said, like I talk to my daughters about this, because some people say, well, we are like a pearl, we should be covered, or what other things, like women, we want the opposite gender to take us for our brains and not our sexuality, or not to see our figures. And all of this, yes, it is true. But the main important thing that we have to emphasize is that this is a command in the Quran. And as Muslims, we hear and we obey. We always must say that. This is a command from Allah, and we hear, we obey. Although we can, conjecture all these different, reasons why, but, anything that Allah has prescribed for us in the Quran, we know as believers that this is best for us. So this is something very important to emphasize and highlight. A couple of more important things I wanted to mention, that it also identifies us as Muslim women. So this is something really, really important, that we want to be identified as Muslim women. So this is a strong symbol of our faith and a strong sign of our commitment to our values and to our Islam. As Brother Hamza mentioned, hijab varies from country to country. Islam is one. What is mentioned in the Quran is one. But in terms of how women dress, like I get a lot of questions, do you have to wear only black, or do you have to wear a burqa? So that is where it differs from country to country. Like a Muslim woman in Indonesia or Malaysia will be dressed very differently than a woman, for example, in Syria or Egypt, or a Muslim woman in, let's say, in France. So that is culture. So we always differentiate culture from religion. What is religious and what is culture? In India, for example, some women may wear one thing, but again, what Islam prescribes, and loose-fitting clothing, and only the faces and the hands are showing, that is what Islam prescribes. Now, a lot of people ask us if hijab is forced upon, or if a father or a husband can force his wife or his daughter, and or if it's a sign of oppression, which is sad, because this is something that most women, Muslim women, if you speak to, are very proud of. We do it, and I say most, because most of us, it's a choice. It's something that we know that Allah has prescribed for us. but it is not something that can be forced upon us. Because if, for example, if I'm a teenager and my father forces me, well, I can go out and I can take it off behind his back. So this is something that we speak to our girls about. We explain to them why, and there should be a love for it. It should come from the heart. It should be something that is not forced upon any female. Now, does this happen in certain countries, in certain cultures? Absolutely. We don't sugarcoat that. There are very oppressive countries, there are very oppressive cultures, but this is Islam should not be like that. There is actually a verse in the Quran that says there is no compulsion in religion, and this is also for Muslims as well. It should, again, we start teaching our children from a very young age why Allah says this, and share with them the Quran, but it should never be forced upon someone, because again, they can go out and do whatever they wish behind our backs. I don't know if you would like to add something to that, Dina.
Actually, I think you covered everything quickly. It's definitely cultural practices that that make people have those impressions about Muslim women as being oppressed. Like, I'm from Syria. If within my own city in Syria, you have, even within the same city, we have different like families and different religious practices or cultural practices. So I met with this guy who is Syrian in town, and he was telling me how like oppressive his family was towards his sisters within the same family. And for me, my experience was totally different. So it's I chose to wear the scarf when I wanted to. I was 23 years old, and it was actually against my family's own will. So when I told my dad, I want to wear the scarf, like, he lost his mind. He was like, "What are you talking about? It's wait till you get married." So this is cultural again. Like, if we're following religion, we would not be having this conversation. It's but again, he was unable to force me into not wearing it. Versus in other families, like, girls are forced into wearing the scarf at young age, like 11 years old, which should not be the case. Quran states that hijab is a must. It's an obligation, and we have to obey. Though, however, the Quran does not say that you have to force your daughters or wives or sisters into wearing the scarf. It has to be their own choice without like forcing them into wearing it. So I just wanted to clarify this. We have this like problem here in the U.S. where we see it in some areas where girls are forced into wearing the scarf. But I mean, within their family. There is nothing we can do about it. Sometimes my non-Muslim friends will approach me asking me like, "What are we gonna do about this?" They force their girl. It's not my place. I can't. This is their own choice. I can't talk about it. And the daughters. The problem is that when it happens, those daughters can, once they leave their homes, they can take it off, and when they come back home, they put it on. And so I feel like it is ridiculous when parents do this to their daughters, because it has to be their own choice. They can't force it on them. And what Marwa mentioned about it, hijab, it is an obligation, absolutely. And she mentioned how, we don't want to be looked at as just objects. Definitely, like, when I have these conversations with my non-Muslim friends, they ask me, like, why do you wear this what we call it burkini when we swim? We have those swimming suits for Muslim women that covers the whole body, but it meets the standards for regular swimming suits, so that they are safe to swim in, that cover the body. And now, like, non-Muslims choose to wear them, those who have some like allergies to the sun or like to the water when they swim. So they will ask me why do you wear this? And I say, why do I have to conform to what my society wants me to be like or to look like? Why can't I have the right to my body? I should have the right to my body, what I want to do with my body, just like everyone else. no one should ask me or force me to do like to wear like specific dress, or to wear the scarf or not to wear the scarf. I should have the right to my body just like everyone else, and I expect people to respect that the same way I respect how or their choices, or how they want to look like, or what they want to dress like when they leave the house. So I think these are the additions to Marwa's presentation. Other than that, I mean, she did everything perfect. So